And we're live! Yay! All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this panel featuring these four fantastic BookTok authors, Tahereh, Mafi, Chloe Gong, goodness, I cannot speak today, Chloe Gong, Adam Silvera, and Madeline Miller, and our fantastic BookTok moderator, Silvera, or as many of you guys know her, at Moon Girl Reads, with an underscore at the bottom afterwards.
Yes.
So Tiffany D. Jackson was having some tech issues and cannot make it tonight, but her books are still amazing, and as I'm sure you all know, and you should definitely still check them out. So I'm Carter. I use they, them pronouns, and I am the event coordinator here at Astoria Bookshop, the bookshop hosting this event. If you don't know who we are, because you found us through the magic of the internet or TikTok, we are a bookshop in Astoria, Queens, a borough in New York City. If you can buy books, and by the way, you can buy books from us, whether you are in New York City or in Nebraska or Germany. We ship wherever you are. So you are welcome to order books tonight. There's, in fact, a link down there at the bottom of the screen where you can click and you can order signed books from every single one of these authors. Your order will come with like a signed bookplate for all of the authors except for Chloe, because Chloe comes into our shop and signs the books physically. So those can be like personalized and be like, to Alice, here's your book, signed Chloe. Kind of hope you get one of those requests. Before we get started, I want to just go through a few housekeeping things. You will have the opportunity to ask questions in the last like 15-ish minutes of this. If you have any questions throughout, put them in the question function. You can chat with one another in that chat on the right. I know many of you have found it already and are chatting away, but don't ask questions in there for the panelists. I'm not going to be able to keep track of it given there's so many of you, but if you put them in the question function, they're much more likely to be answered. We will kick you out if you participate in any trolling, any racial, ethnic, or homophobic slurs. Basically, be kind and respectful towards one another in that chat over there. So let's get things started with our fantastic guests. And I'm going to go through and read each of their bios. So about our fantastic moderator, wave your hands. So Silvera, who uses she, her pronouns, is a book influencer who creates content highlighting diverse authors and stories as Moon Girl Reads _ on TikTok. She has been featured in the New York Times, BBC World Service, international magazines, and her grandpa's Facebook. Hi, Grandpa. She is soon to enter her second year studying English at the University of California, Santa Barbara, and looks forward to finding ways to secretly read books during lectures again, which I'm sure was much easier when it was Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Tahereh Mafi, who uses she, her pronouns, is the New York Times and USA Today bestselling author of the Shatter Me series, the National Book Award long-listed and best-selling novel A Very Large Expanse of Sea, as well as Furthermore and Witchwood. You can find her online about anywhere at Tahereh, or on her website, which is her name.com. And Tahereh, can you raise your hand?
Yes.
Yay, thank you. So Adam Silvera, who uses he, him pronouns, is the New York Times bestselling author of More Happy Than Not, History is All You Left Me, They Both Die at the End, Infinity Sun, and, with Becky Abertalli, What If It's Us? He was named a Publisher Weekly Flying Start for his debut. Adam was born and raised in the Bronx. He was a bookseller before shifting to children's publishing and has worked at a literary development company and a creative writing website for teens, and as a book reviewer of children's and young adult novels. He is tall for no reason and lives in Los Angeles. You can visit him online at hisname.com. Not his name, but like actually typing out his name. Madeline Miller, who uses she, her pronouns, is the author of The Song of Achilles, which was awarded the 2012 Orange Prize for Fiction and was a New York Times bestseller. Miller is also the author of Circe, which was the winner of the Indies Best Adult Fiction of the Year Award and the Indies Choice Best Audiobook of the Year Award. Circe also received the Red Tentacle Award, an American Library Associate Alex Award, the 2018 Elle Big Book Award, was shortlisted for the 2020 Women's Prize for Fiction, and was a #1 New York Times bestseller. She currently lives outside of Philadelphia. And finally, last but not least, Chloe Gong, who uses she, her pronouns, is the New York Times bestselling author of These Violent Delights and its sequel, Our Violent Ends. She is a recent graduate of the University of Pennsylvania, where she double majored in English and international relations. Born in Shanghai and raised in Auckland, New Zealand, Chloe is now located in New York, pretending to be a real adult, being a real adult. You can find her on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok under @thechloegong, or check out her website at thechloegong.com. And welcome, everyone.
Yay.
Now I will disappear and let Celine take over.
Thank you, Carter.
All right, yay. First, I want to say thank you to Carter for organizing this event, and a big thank you to all of the authors for showing up. I am so excited to talk to you guys. My family has been sick of me making this my entire personality trait for the past few weeks. So they're all watching it right now. So hi, Grandpa, again. But okay, let's get started.
Hi, please, Grandpa.
So, yeah, I'm all over his Facebook. I swear half the Philippines knows who I am at this point. He posts all my TikToks. So thank you, Grandpa. All right. So all of us on BookTok love and know your books. For people who are meeting you for the very first time, can you briefly describe the books you write? What parts of your work do you think inspire our community? Okay, let's start off with Tahereh.
Okay. You want me to tell you what books I've written? I'm so sorry. I missed the first part of that.
No, I can repeat it. No worries. I kind of talk fast sometimes. I'm very excited. So if you ever want me to repeat a question, don't be afraid to ask or anything. So for people who maybe they're not on BookTok or they might be a little bit unfamiliar with your works, can you describe the books that you write? Kind of what genre are they? Right. Young adult, new adult, anything, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I appreciate the clarification.
Of course, yeah. No worries.
I write young adult novels. I've written a couple of middle grade novels. I think I write what are traditionally described as kissing books. I enjoy kissing books. I enjoy writing kissing books. I also write some serious and heavy books. But yeah, they're, for the most part, I write a little bit of everything. I've written fantasy, I've written dystopian sci-fi, I've written contemporary realistic fiction. So, and I'm writing a new fantasy series that comes out early next year. So, yeah, you know, a lot of stuff, but there's almost always kissing.
Yeah, I recently finished both of your books within the last month, and all of the kissing scenes were very, very on point. Yes. Okay, let's go on to Chloe.
Hello. I guess my books, they're up there very faintly. Since I'm really I just almost threw my laptop over. I'm a debut author, so far I am writing YA fantasy, YA historical. But I guess my brand is you come for character angst and then you learn a lot more about politics than you signed up for. I like to use, both of my English degree, my international relations degree. So guaranteed anything I write in the future will be angsty. And then you learn way more about historical civil relations or politics than you really wanted to learn, but it's too bad. You're here now. I'm going to tell you about bandwagoning and bargaining.
Nice. Yeah, These Violent Delights, full of angst and the politics. My copy's right here, and you can't really see it, but there's 10,000 tabs, I swear. And Adam.
My brand is gay. That's everything I do. That's everything I am. I like gay and angst. I think that's appropriate. And pain. And I don't know. I had a kind of like a shitty upbringing, so I like was really processing a lot of stuff, and making these books like my therapy before I got a therapist. I highly recommend therapy, by the way, to everybody. And I'm just always gonna write queer narratives. I often get asked when I'm gonna tell stories from like a straight boy's perspective. I'm like, bro, you don't need that. Like, you don't need that from me. Like, it's. I promise. Like, there's a wealth of stories about like straight boys out there. You don't need like my contribution there, and there are other people who are doing it brilliantly, and I don't need to be pulled away from my space to contribute to an already extensive library of just like straight boy stories. So, gay angst pain. Hi.
Yes, that is just a big side of BookTok. They both die at the end has like, it's part of the culture. It's a cultural reset. It literally changed everything. So thank you so much for your books too. And Madeline.
So my novels, I guess I consider them mythological realism. I grew up reading and loving magical realism. And so I think mythological realism kind of is where I see myself. They're both sort of writing back to Greek mythology and to ancient stories, and both of them actually, I didn't used to admit this, but now I admit it, really came from a place of anger. That they came from a place that there were stories that I felt were being silenced by the tradition and that were being ignored, and I really wanted to tell those stories. And allow different perspectives and different characters to kind of speak and be represented that I felt had really been pushed to the side.
Yeah, I will be honest when I say I'd never really heard of Circe or Achilles or Patroclus before I got on BookTok and before I started reading your books. So you've really introduced a whole generation of people, I think, to Greek myths. And the way you write is like, so this is just my personal take. It feels like I'm reading a classic, but I don't want to like bang my head against the wall, so already.
That makes me so happy. It makes me so happy to hear that. Thank
that is
you.
the
I
best
feel like
blurb,
so smart.
like, for your work right there.
Yeah. Okay. And speaking of BookTok and TikTok, based on the very first impression you had of TikTok, whether you were a regular user or you'd never even heard of it, would you have ever considered it to be like a genuine platform for marketing or for growing your fandoms or audiences? Why or why not? So I'm very interested. I know we have a mix of, I guess, people for how you relate to TikTok. So I'm very interested to hear your answers to these questions. Adam, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think and it's funny because I come from a marketing background, and I don't think I ever was recognizing the power of TikTok, and I mean, look, I know that apps come and go, like what was like really relevant a few years ago was Twitter. Before that, it was Facebook. Now it's Instagram, and now it's like TikTok, and there's gonna be something after TikTok. But I clearly didn't take TikTok serious enough to have gotten an account like when it was first kind of like introduced. And I just didn't think that, I'm like, what are authors gonna do on that or whatever? And then my publisher started sending emails like, hey, you're having like a surge in sales. We don't know why. And I was like, oh, it's probably like back to school summer reading shit, because it happened like last August or something. Like maybe some like statewide reading list that we aren't aware of has like kind of just like picked up the book or something. And then people were like, oh, it's on BookTok. And I thought that was like a whole separate app. Like I didn't know what it was. And then I created an account, and then Trump tried to get rid of TikTok.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I remember that.
Remember that. I'm like, also my life all our lives would be completely different right now had TikTok actually been banned from the States. But I don't think I ever recognized the power. It's true word of mouth that you sometimes only see when you have like an adaptation active, and the kind of sales that reflect that. So I don't know, I'm in awe of everyone on BookTok doing their thing.
Yeah, BookTok is definitely its own little corner of the internet, whatever. But yeah, I remember when Trump was going to ban TikTok, I was going to figure out how to use a VPN. No idea what that was, but everyone was telling me to figure out how to use that so I could stay on TikTok and everything. But yeah, that was an interesting time. Yeah. And Madeline, I'd love to hear from you.
Sure. Well, I don't have a background in marketing, and I also don't have a TikTok. So I feel like but what I do love about, because now I had a little bit of a similar experience to you, Adam, which is that my publisher was like, there's some sales. And I was like, oh, why? And, then it sort of started coming out that it was TikTok, and people started sending me videos and things that were on there. And the thing that struck me most about TikTok that I just immediately loved is, to me, it feels like the theater social media. I feel like it has so much that I love about theater, because that is my background. That's the other part of my background, is theater. And I love the incredible intimacy of it. I love how personal it can be, and how beautiful and eloquent. And at the same time, I love how performative and funny and witty. So I love seeing how people use it to talk to each other, to be with each other. I love the theater aspect of it. So I'm in awe of all of you out there doing it. Thank you.
Yeah, it is definitely very theatrical. Whether it's like people just crying on their phones, just like, this book made me cry so much. Those videos always like go crazy, and they do so well. And then there's people who love to make like memes and use like funny audios to like relate to the characters, and to just like share books that also do really well. So it's very interesting to see all of these types of like ways people can talk about books and relate to one another. And that's like a beautiful thing, I think, that BookTok does, and just it's a great place to be. And Tahereh, I'd love to hear what you think about TikTok and everything.
Oh, I mean, I think my answer is very similar to Adam's. I did not expect TikTok to be the powerhouse that it turned out to be. And again, I am not a clairvoyant, so I don't know that it looked to me to predict the future anyway. But I too was not really sure what it was doing. I swear that dinner we had, Adam, like that. That was like the center of all of this. I feel like I was saying before the event started that I had dinner with Adam and a few of our other author friends one night. This was a couple months ago, and that night Adam was trying to convince us all to like use TikTok, and you were teaching us like what TikTok was, and that was the very first time anybody had ever told me like about the Shatter Me hashtag. You like looked up the Shatter Me hashtag, and you were like, look, the Shatter Me hashtag has like 50 million views or whatever. Today it has like 100 million views or something. And I don't know what any of that means. Like, because with respect to what, right? Like what numbers on the internet just seem kind of meaningless at this point. I still don't really have perspective for any of it, but I was like, what does that mean? 50 million people are looking at the hashtag? Like, I don't know what that means. And anyway, Adam tried to convince me to start a TikTok, which I did, and then deleted. So I still I spent some time looking at TikTok, just like not the hashtag. I don't look at the hashtag, but I look at TikTok, which I have found to be like hilarious and just an incredible source of joy and wonder, and I have to say, the thing that I love the most about TikTok and BookTok in particular is that it seems to be a real place where teenagers are talking about books to each other. And I think for a long time in publishing books specifically for young people, it's been kind of a struggle to figure out, like, well, where are the teenagers and what are they talking about and how do they talk to each other? And I love that this space has been created organically for young people to get together, or whatever, not just young people, but a lot of young people to get together and talk to each other about books. That makes me really, really happy. And it makes me a little sad for my teenage self, because I mean, that would have been incredible. I would have loved that, to have that kind of community somewhere so easily accessible. So I think it's great.
I love that you said that. BookTok really is such a beautiful space, and people can build like their own communities within it, which is amazing. As someone who like started when BookTok was kind of starting up now, to see how many like young people are able to just be on TikTok and they're like, I don't have anyone like in my real life where I can talk to like where I can talk to them about these books. So it's just beautiful to see that. And also, everyone who's watching, we do have a challenge to convince Tahereh to go back on TikTok, to go back on BookTok. So in the comments, convince her to go back, you guys. That is the challenge for today.
Chloe plans on working
it.
that task
Yes.
all hours. So
yes, let's do it, you guys. I believe in us. And okay, Chloe, I know you have an account on TikTok. You make content, I watch your videos. So you're gonna have a very, I think, different take on this question, but how did you ever think TikTok would have been a place to like grow your audience and to market?
I had no clue that it would end up being like so impactful, because so I had only first heard of TikTok like in college as the place where my roommates were posting their dances on. So like I would be trying to do my essays, and in the living room they would be learning the dance like for TikTok. And I was like, oh, like TikTok is just, a fun social media app. And then lockdown happened my junior year of college, and I went home like for a few months, and I was just so bored all the time. So I was like, let me get on TikTok and like see what's going on. And I had always been like, before I was on BookTok, I was on BookTumblr during my high school years. So I was very much like the type, well, I mean, I won't tell myself about what kind of like fandoms I was constantly like keyboard smashing over, but like I was, constantly in these like teen community spaces. And so once I was like, I mean, when I was getting on like BookTok, I was already like, my book deal had been announced. So I was kind of navigating that space between like, I really want to talk to people about books, like the general kind of bookish fandom, but also be like, oh, hey, like I have a book coming out. Like, you guys want to like read about these kinds of things? My book has these kinds of things. It kind of like just very like organically grew into this thing where I was like really just having fun with the platform, because I make a lot of memes like of my own books. Like I try not to take myself very seriously, because I think the moment you try to take yourself seriously on like TikTok, and especially among Gen Z, they're like, is this an ad? I don't want ads. So a lot of it is like, I have like this running joke where anytime I'm pretending to be Roma on TikTok, I just put a pair of shorts on my head. And I don't know, it's kind of fun. And then for some reason, videos like the ones that I take 20 seconds to kind of film together, they'll take off, and then people will be like, oh, this sounds interesting. Let me go check out your book. And from there on, it's kind of like taken root, like, on the BookTok community. So I had no idea that this is what would happen, but I love it. I truly love it. It's like, it's so comforting.
Yeah, it's very fun to see the content you create too, because I'm like, this is the author of this book and she's creating her own content, because everyone makes jokes and memes and stuff, but it's different when you see the author doing it. It just, I don't know. I'm like, this is so funny. Like, to me, I just love to see it. Yeah. So it's great. I love seeing you on my For You page and your friends only videos too. Just anything. Chloe's great. You guys follow her on TikTok too. And okay, this is an interesting question. So what was your initial reaction to learning about how loved your books are on TikTok, on BookTok? And we're going to go back to you, Chloe.
It was wild because, like, again, right, I only got on TikTok to talk to other people about, like, other books. Like, a lot of the times, like, someone will post, like, a fangirling TikTok, and I'll be in the comments being like, oh, my God, I love Warrior 2. I very much treat the place like I like being a reader as well. Like, I try not to impose on, like, TikToks about my books unless I'm tagged in it, because I don't want to infiltrate on like the fandom space. So just the fact that like while I was kind of, finding my footing in the place and just talking to other readers, and then there were people who liked my book enough to make those kinds of videos as well, was just like, I was like, wow, like, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you like this book enough to talk about it in your own time, to make such creative videos about it, to like talk to other people about it. Because I feel like word of mouth for like books is just, it's so important. And like TikTok has made word of mouth happen for books on a like unprecedented scale. Like it's wild. It's truly wild.
Yeah. Word of mouth, I've learned, is also like just a good way to like get people to like read books or to just want to know about books, because it's like genuine and authentic content. Like these are people who genuinely enjoy the books, and like you're like, I want to share in that too. So that's also been just a great thing about BookTok. And Madeline, how did you feel about it?
I mean, I got really choked up actually because some people were sending me videos, and I was so deeply moved and honored. I think, for two reasons. One, because as you said before so beautifully, you know, growing up, I didn't have a lot of people to talk about books with, and that was true for many, many years. And seeing such a vibrant community that was so committed to talking about books with so much love and so much passion, it was such a powerful and magical thing. And then on top of that, you know, Song of Achilles had been with me for so many years. I mean, it took me 10 years to write the book. It was with me for many years, even before I started writing it. It was a book that meant so much to me. And seeing people respond to it so, you know, just personally was really, you can see I get choked up. Anyway, so it was incredibly moving and and meaningful, and I was very grateful.
That's beautiful to hear. I always see Song of Achilles quotes and like the like most like romantic quotes or like quotes that'll make you cry, and I'll just like start reading the comments, and it's just so many people found such a connection to that book too, and it's beautiful. I will literally start crying too when I think about it too much, so I don't want to cry on camera. But Adam, how did you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I totally started creeping on the hashtag. So I was just like, all right, well, what's happening there? You know, after I created an account, finally, maybe in like September of last year, even though I wasn't like doing anything with it, but I was seeing people dressing up as like the main characters, like Mateo and Rufus, down to like the outfits that I've like described for them, that I've like had only previously ever really seen in like fan art, you know, and just seeing people recreate scenes from the book was really mind-blowing, and you know, speaking so much to the theater component that we've touched on here today. And yeah, I mean, I got emotional, like, you know, seeing people living so joyously as Mateo during some of his like scenes where he kind of like breaks out and you know, starts embracing like the life that he wants to live. Like that was like really gorgeous to me, and just seeing the way that everyone's reacted to the song American Pie. Like, I feel like I've like introduced that song to a generation. You know, which like, I know the song because of my mom and everything. And you know, there's the line in the song, like, this will be the day that I die. And I was like, oh, this is a perfect, you know, lyric to like have featured in this book. And to see so many like TikTok videos of that song playing in the background, like to the point that in, you know, the recent Black Widow movie, like, not a spoiler, but they play this song like very early on in the movie, and I've had so many like DMs and messages from people just being like, oh my god, like I thought they both died at the end immediately, and I'm just like, that's really cool to just see that impact, that like people are watching a Marvel movie and they're now like thinking about they both die at the end. So my goal for like world domination is moving pretty beautifully.
Yeah. I whenever I see videos of books that like I enjoy, it's always like, oh, like just so heartwarming. So I can only imagine like how profound it is for you guys to see how well loved and just how many people love and relate and like find connection to your book. So I can only just imagine. And it's amazing to just hear from you guys, to just like, I don't know, to understand a thought process that I like can't even begin to imagine. And Tahereh, how did you feel about learning how well loved your books were on TikTok?
I was really confused. I remember, I mean, so like I had a similar, I feel like Adam and I were living parallel lives. I'm sorry I keep calling you out, Adam.
Love it.
But my agent and I were having a call once, and she was like, yeah, you had like a really great week last week. And you know, we were talking, she was telling me about like sales numbers, right? Like I think maybe this happened to all of us. Everyone's like, what's happening? And I was like, I don't know. But listen, I had dinner with Adam the other night, and he was talking about TikTok. And he said something about TikTok, and I don't know, maybe it's TikTok. And it turned out it was TikTok. None of us really understood what was happening. And then I was literally on the phone with Jody. Adam and I have the same agent. I was on the phone with Jody, and she was like, look it up. I want to know what it is. And that was the first time I really looked at the Shatter Me hashtag. And I suppose unlike everybody else here, I do not lurk on these hashtags. Like I feel very strongly that like that space for me personally, like I have to create distance between my author space and the reader space to like really give the books to the world and to the readers without any intercession from the author. But I did see some things in that initial look, and I was very, I don't know, I want to say that I was just laughing. I thought it was hilarious. I just kept, there's this line from Ignite Me that apparently everyone is very excited about, and I just could not stop laughing. I thought it was the funniest I had ever seen. I was like, you guys are so dirty. That's supposed to be.
I know exactly what that line is.
Dirty, dirty. I'm just it's I totally respect and appreciate.
I'm spicy, yeah.
I
totally know what that line is.
Hilarious. You guys are hilarious. And you know what? I appreciate your taste. I like that you liked that scene.
Yeah, it is a very there's a couple of scenes that are just so popular on TikTok, and that is definitely one of them. I can't count the number of videos I've seen where it's like that book and then the like quote and then like some audio and the entire commentary. Oh my gosh, you guys. I know exactly what that line is. So that makes me laugh, yeah. I can't believe you saw that.
I wanted to be like crying and emotional, but I was just laughing my ass off. Can I say that?
Yeah, I occasionally I do forget that the authors who write these books that we talk about can see the stuff. Like, it's not just like private to us. Anyone can go. The internet is public. I always forget, but I can't believe you saw.
But I try not to. That's kind of where I draw the line. I'm like, that's your space. I respect it.
I'm gonna tell my creator friends who made videos like that. Tahereh saw, and she knows what you guys are talking about. It's gonna be so funny. Oops, I just accidentally exited out of the questions, but let me pull them back up. Okay, so speaking of BookTok videos and popular BookTok videos of your own books, because your books are so well loved and popular on BookTok, have you seen any of the content your fans have created? Are there any videos or even trends that stand out to you? Tahereh, I have you down as the first person to ask. Besides that quote, are there any other things or videos that you've seen that kind of just stand out to you?
No, I try not to. I really don't enter that space at all. I'm just like, I love, and maybe that's why I haven't done any kind of deep dive. Like, I don't know. I've been doing this for long enough now to know that like that way lies danger for me. Yeah. I don't really like to get too deep into that space. I'm always like, that's your space. Feel free to discuss and dissect and have feelings however you like. I don't need to be there looking over your shoulder. But some of it bled over to Instagram. Like, people started tagging me and stuff on Instagram where I'm a little bit more active. And I just kept seeing that line over and over and over. And I was like,
you're like, no rest. Yeah.
Wow. You guys. I love it.
You guys want to go outside.
Like, listen, I'm not judging. I wrote it. So I'm very, I'm fully, I fully respect this decision to move that line into a meme. But that's it. That's really like, it was so pervasive that like it was kind of bleeding into some other, but I really don't. So I don't know much more than that.
Some of my favorite Shatter Me videos, I'm just going to insert myself here, but I love the fan art of Shatter Me. It's beautiful. I'll see some fan art of like Warner and I'm like, hey, that's really nice. So those are some of my favorite Shatter Me videos. And Adam, are there any videos? I know you had mentioned the kind of like cosplay type videos from They Both Die at the End, but anyone's for you? Yeah.
Before I go on that, because I'm also like a Shatter Me hipster. Like, I've been with this since like it first published. But I'm seeing the comments like scrolling here, and you know, like the love triangle with like Adam and Warner, like I keep seeing some comments isolated that are, I hate Adam, and I'm just kind of like, I'm a little bit like, is that a shatter me, Adam, or are you guys like here and trolling me
Like
personally?
me, Adam.
So I'm having quite the cycle of emotions in this panel right now. As for the videos that I like, I love all the crying videos for They Both Die at the end, which I mean, of which there are many. And
There's so many.
I even like the people that are like, this is overrated. Why are you guys crying? Like, I felt nothing for these characters. Like, I find that shit funny. Like, I used to be the guy who would like read 1-star reviews of my debut novel at like 4 in the morning if I was like awake and bored. Like, I have like the thickest shell with this stuff. I don't care. Like,
Adam, teach me.
Yeah, I troll my own books. Like, I can be really self-deprecating sometimes, but I think my favorite They Both Die ones were the like I guess I'm just too tough to cry, and then everyone's like bursting into tears. That was I made my goddaughter do it. She's like 1 year, so I had my goddaughter's mother do it, and I need to like stitch it on my TikTok or whatever so everyone can see it. But I'll do that this week maybe. I don't know. It's so hard. TikTok is not as easy as I thought it was gonna be, but yeah.
No, yeah, those are definitely my favorite. I love those like kind of like memes. I don't know. I love seeing people cry too because I'm like, I totally cried, so I feel less like a wimp. But and Chloe.
I only ever like see the videos that I get tagged in. I try very hard not to scroll because I'm like, okay, I'm on TikTok, but I'm very much like, I will let you guys have your space. So anything I get tagged in, I end up seeing. And I think my favorite one is the audio where like their hand is like hitting the screen. So it's as if you're being smacked by the TikTok user. And it's just like, Chloe Gong, how dare you hurt me? Like the ones directly speaking at me. I find a lot of joy in those. Not to be like a masochist or anything. It's also, I just really love, I think the whole reason why I love BookTok especially so much is because I love having like direct, like I love that the teenage audience can feel like they can talk directly to me. And because I'm like so close to you guys in age, like I understand like that, you know, when you're Gen Z, death threats are meant as a compliment.
Right.
So like, I'm like, yeah, beat me up.
Yeah. Once I finish Our Violent Ends, get prepared for my video of me.
We'll roll up to the Walmart parking lot. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. Yeah, I'll be kind of like crying probably, but just know it's out of like love. I'm sure. Yeah. And Madeline, are there any videos on TikTok that you've seen and you've just been like, wow, that's really nice?
Well, I feel a little bit similarly that I don't want to be invasive on a space. You know, I don't want to sort of be like running in and being like, hey guys, what's going on? You know, I try not to like go and
please do that. Internet would just pass out. Yeah. Madeline Miller in the comments.
It just feels somehow invasive. I also want to give people their space to have whatever feeling they want to have, you know. But I have definitely seen some videos that people have sent to me, and in the beginning when I was trying to understand what TikTok was, I looked at some of it, and I love it all. I mean, I love the ones where people take on characters and have conversations. I love the ones where people speak, you know, really personally. I all of it has been amazing. I mean, fan art. I love I haven't talked so much about Cersei, but I love there's a lot of good Cersei Lion content. Love that. So, you know, it's just it's all great.
Yeah, I've seen some beautiful like Song of Achilles kind of artwork too, like paintings and stuff, and I'm just like, that is so, I'm gonna go cry. But definitely some beautiful stuff on BookTok. And okay, now we're gonna have some fun questions, some BookTok related questions. So you guys are going to come into the BookTok side of the community, learn a little bit about what we talk about, what we like to talk about. So one of the topics that like is just huge on TikTok are tropes, if you guys know what tropes are. So if you don't, here are some examples. My favorites range from slow burn to chosen one, to forbidden childhood friends, to lovers, to sworn enemies, to reluctant allies, to lovers, to enemies. Does that sound a little familiar, Chloe? Now, if you had to pick a trope you absolutely love, what kind of trope would it be? Speaking of Chloe, what's one of your favorite tropes?
I feel like it would be a cheating answer if I just gave the one that you already gave out. So I think I think I tweeted this recently as well, but one of my like favorite niche tropes that I think appears like relatively often is when like it was like if a character is sick and then their love interest is tending to them and then they do the wrist grab. They're like, stay, please. I think it appears in quite a lot of media, even though being
especially if they like don't like each other. Yeah.
Especially if they're enemies or if they're like fake married or if they're like rivals. So good.
Yeah, that's definitely an amazing one. Madeline, are there any tropes that you kind of are like, that's a cool one?
I really like ones about people who come together and sort of find each other. So I guess sort of found family.
Found family, yes.
You know,
that's a good one. That's also super big on BookTok.
Yeah, those are really some of my favorites, and how close how people can become as close as family. Just those are always really meaningful to me. I love a good like getting the gang back together. I've never written it. One day I do, you'll know that it's because I always love to.
I would love to read a found family getting the gang back together trope book from you. That would be amazing. The internet would probably break because found family is a huge trope on BookTok, like one of the biggest. And Tahereh, are there any tropes that you kind of like?
Yeah, I think I'm like an unabashed fan of like an enemies to lovers situation. I like the tension. I love the tension.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just great. I also, I like stories about underdogs. I don't think that's a trope. Is that a trope? And
yes.
Yeah,
sure. But yeah, I love all this stuff. I love found family. I love, I don't know. I love a good trope if it's done well. I don't mind tropes. I don't mind a trope at all. I love like fake marriages, like that sort of thing is,
No, that's a class. Those are all classics, really good. I'm not surprised you said enemies to lovers. Shatter Me is like one of the biggest like books on BookTok for enemies to lovers. I see it in like every single recommendation, and I'm like, yes. So yes, enemies to lovers is a classic. And Adam, are there any tropes you like?
I'm seeing in the comments that my favorite trope is just death.
But did they lie?
Yeah,
they didn't lie there. Yeah.
No, I would actually. I used to say my very favorite trope was enemies to lovers, but I've actually come to realize I think I love triangles, and I know that's like a problematic response because like people. But that's what I'm saying. Like I remember falling so in love with the love triangle in Shatter Me, and just thinking that like it subverted so many different things that I'd come to expect from general other love triangles that I was reading at that time. And I was so in love with that. And like now, and I have like these fantasy books that no one gives a shit about, but I love them. Thank you, Todd. But no, they're like I'm writing like a gay love triangle from like book 2 and on, and because I like didn't get to see that growing up, and I love that. Like I love the love triangle. I love the 2 people who have like read the sequel so far. Like they, it's more than 2 people. I'm just very self-deprecating, but I, like people are genuinely torn about like who they want the main character to end up with, and I'm like, that is the sign of a successful love triangle for me. Like when you have people who are pissed off at the final decision, where you have like half your fan base like frustrated and pissed off and never gonna read you again. I'm like, I did the right thing. Like I did it convincingly, created 2 potential partners like for this person. So yeah, but I'm having so. Like, I think I know where I want love triangle to end, but I'm also going to just like write the book and see what happens. Like, I don't want to force it either, because I do believe that there's just so much like organic connections that like have to be acknowledged. Like I remember like telling Tahereh like years ago, like there was a line specifically in Ignite Me about like rivers and oceans and just like Juliet speaking to like what she wants out of a relationship, and like that maybe it was like waterfalls, like I was like, it was so perfect, and those are the kind of like emotional chords I want to hit in a love triangle. So yeah.
Love triangles are always a big topic of discussion, especially on BookTok. And I've always said I hated them, but I think it's only because I get so angry when I'm reading it that I'm like, oh, like, so no, that's actually a really good answer. And that kind of changed my actual perspective on love triangles. Yay. And okay, we're gonna hit some rapid fire questions because I realized we've been having good discussion and we only have a few minutes left. So these are rapid fire questions that I'm totally not selfishly asking. I'm doing so for the benefit of the people. So yeah, Madeline, are there any other Greek myths you'd be interested in retelling? Maybe a Hades and Persephone. I know everyone on BookTok, whenever I talk about the Song of Achilles, they're like, imagine if Madeline wrote Hades and Persephone. And I'm like, yes, totally. So I'd love to hear what you think. Yeah.
I thank you for your faith in me about Hades and Persephone, because that is that there is so much to that story. It just goes so deep in so many different directions. And I would actually love to write about it at some point. It's not my next novel, but maybe down the road. Just because I think but it's hard right now. I have like the huge vision of my next novel in front of me, but I feel like I can see it peaking down the road. So one day.
Yes, whenever it comes out, I will be the first person to buy it. I will buy like 10 copies. But yes, okay, good. That made me so happy. Awesome. And Chloe, if Romeo and Juliet lived in modern times as somewhat normal young adults, I feel like they could never be just like normal people with their personalities. I love them. But what or where would their first date be? And who do you think would have asked the other one out?
I really had a thought. I had a deep think about this. I think it would be at an aquarium. Ooh. Maybe partially inspired by like, the Romeo and Juliet movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and the like fish stuff. Yeah. I had that in mind when I was thinking about this. But I think an aquarium, because then you have those scenes where, one person's like, wow, it's so beautiful. And the other one's like looking. I really thought it through.
You're beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, wow, it's beautiful. Oh, yes, it is. And they're actually looking at them. Anyway, I think Romo would have asked Juliet out though, because Juliet would purposely not ask him out just to force him to do it. I think that's my modern AU.
I love that. If there are any artists watching, feel free to draw that so I can just have it. That's what the people need. Okay, Adam, picture this. You're chilling at home, and I want to make sure I get your dog's name right. It's Tazito, right?
Tazito, yeah.
Yes. And you get the text that you've got 24 hours left to live your life to the fullest. What is one food you're making sure you get to eat that day?
Wait, what does Taz have to do with this?
He's just chilling there.
Oh, okay.
I feel like that's somewhere you'd be, yeah. You can take him with you, I don't know.
Waiting for like the part of like Taz. I'm like, is Taz dying? Like that's where I thought
No, he's fine. He's totally fine.
Also, guys, I am brutal. I don't think I'll ever kill a dog in a book. So let's put that out there.
Please never do that. Yeah.
I don't think I will. Like I won't sign any contracts, but like I think we're safe. Okay, 24 hours. I get it from this moment. Call my mom. Get my like finances in check so that my mom and my godkids get all this. They both die at the end TikTok money. I'm gonna write. I've always said I would write something. I don't know what it would be. I don't know if it would be for personal friends, family, public, or just private. I would I would just try to like have as much time as I can with like loved ones, and just let people know like how I felt about them, so there's like no mystery after I'm gone.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, like, he wrote this book. Did he ever put like thought into like what would happen if like he had it or like anything like that? So
honestly, writing the book has helped me just be better about like I did karaoke with Tahereh, Ransom, Nicola Yoon, and David Yoon. I cannot sing.
Just casual.
I am Mateo, and I think me and Tahereh were the first ones singing. And I mean, we were like banging out. There was Eminem. There was so much. Spears. Yeah, there's Britney Spears.
I would need to see this. Yes.
Oh no, there were no cameras were allowed.
No.
TikTok, put it on TikTok.
But it was very much like, what would Mateo do, and give it into that spirit. So I think I have led a fuller life as a result from having written that book.
That's awesome. I love that. That definitely, I think, helped a lot of people in BookTok too. Just that overall book. And Tahereh, if Werner had access to social media, who do you think he would be following on Instagram?
No.
No what?
No. He would be like,
post? Would he
be here? Why am I here?
Oh, and is Carter back? Okay, perfect. And
Yes.
I think right now we're going to do questions from the audience, and Carter is going to take over.
Yes, I am. But thank you so much, Celine, for asking all these wonderful questions. Everyone is asking in the chat what your TikTok is, and I just put your handle in. So I'm so sorry for the amount of notifications you're about to get. But Ava is our first question asker from the audience, who asked, what was it like for one of your books to go viral instead of one of the others? Was there any moments of, I wish this book went viral instead? And Chloe, what was it like to have your very first book go viral? So whoever wants to start. Chloe, if you want to start, since that last part was directed towards you.
Sure. Yeah, it was, I think, just beyond my wildest imagination, because I think, like, as a debut, you have to keep your expectations low, and especially a debut during the pandemic. Like, my book came out in November of 2020. Bookstores were all closed. So like release week rolled around, and like as I was approaching release date, like I was making a lot of just, fun TikToks being like, my book is coming out soon. And then there would be people in the comments being like, oh, that sounds so exciting, I'm gonna pre-order a copy. And I just couldn't have imagined that like the numbers just kept adding up as other people were reading arcs and making videos. And like I have no doubt that like going viral a few times before release was what drove a lot of its success. So just wild, beyond my wildest dreams. And BookTok is just wonderful and beautiful.
So good. Adam, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I mean, They Both Die at the End is my favorite book I've written. So for me, I'm happy that this is the one that went viral. But, I definitely do look at other of my books. It's weird because it's like They Both Die at the End is selling wildly. And then I had a book come out in March that it was my first book in years to like not hit the bestseller list. And I like haven't talked about that very much lately, and I've been meaning to. But like that was like kind of a mindfuck too, because it's like I remember my publisher saying, "Well, don't worry, like all the sales of They Both Die at the End will translate to the sequel to this fantasy series that's unrelated to They Both Die at the End." And I'm like, "No, it won't." And I was unfortunately like proven right there. And there've been a couple times I've wondered what the life of this series would look like if the Infinity Sun books had gone viral instead. But ultimately, like the Deathcast universe, in which like They Both Die at the End kicks off, is created an opportunity for me to like tell more stories in that world, which I had always wanted to do and wanted to have done years ago. So there will be like more Deathcast books on the way, which I'm not like legally allowed to talk about yet, but there you go. And I'm very excited about that. But there is definitely like a lot of scrambling sometimes, or just navigating the gratitude for one book, and then almost kind of like the greediness of just like wanting all my kids to be loved. Not my kids. Sorry, I don't like talking about my books like they're my kids, because they're not. Like wanting all my books to be loved, just knowing how much work I put into all of them. But again, if I only get this one lightning bolt moment, I'm so happy that it's for They Both Die at the End.
Amazing. Tahereh?
Yeah, no, that never even occurred to me. It never occurred to me to think like, oh, why this book and not, I don't know. I guess I love all my books, so I'm glad that if anybody likes any of them, I'm like, that's so great, thank you. Also, I mean, I wrote Shatter Me when I was 22. It was my debut novel, and I can't believe anybody is reading it. I can't believe it ever got published. I can't believe it's like still around. I'm just so deeply grateful that I still have a career, that I've been doing this for 10 years, and I can still, my books are still being read. So So that, you know, no, I'm super grateful. It never occurs to me to think like, no, I'm just, thank you.
And Madeline?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I you know, and I love it if people love both sources. I mean, I only have 2 books, so I love it if people love both of the books. But if they have one that they like and they've never read the other, that's okay too. I'm very grateful that they're out there in the world and finding readers. And I, you know, sometimes people ask, do I have a favorite? No, I love them both. I gave them both 100% my all, and now they belong to the readers.
So the next question is from, I'm not sure if this is Isla or Ela or Isla, one of those names. But I'm going to go with Isla here. So Isla asked, who is your favorite character that you've written? Let's go backwards this time. Sorry, Madeline, you're back on the spot.
Oh my God. Okay, well, I feel like, you know, they're both first-person narrators, so I lived very deeply with both Patroclus and Circe for many, many years, so they're tied. But if we put them aside, and I have to pick after that, that's complicated. Okay, I'll pick one for each. I love writing Pasiphae in Circe. She's one of the most fun characters to write. I loved just, you know, having her tear everything apart every time she was on the page. So I really enjoyed writing her character. For Song of Achilles, maybe Chiron. After Achilles and Patroclus, we'll put them aside. Maybe Chiron. Actually, that's not true. I take it back. It's then Chiron.
Perfect. Good list. Tahereh?
You know, I think my favorite characters I've ever written are probably the main characters of my work. I don't like calling them contemporary fiction because they're books that take place almost 20 years ago. So I don't know that that's contemporary, but I've written some works of realistic fiction, and those main characters have always meant a great deal to me. Those characters like are really, really close to me and have a special place in my heart. But if I had to choose a character in the Shatter Me universe, I mean, it will probably not surprise you to hear that I think I've had the most fun writing Warner's character. So Believe Me, which is like a new Shatter Me novella that's coming out in November, it's all written from his point of view, and it was so fun to like dive back into his head, and he's just like always surprising me. I just find there's so much there to mine, and it's always interesting for me as a writer to be in his head. It's always interesting. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Soto, the main character from More Happy Than Not, my debut novel. I mean, he's the character I'm just like closest to. You know, he hits so many of the chords of, you know, writers writing kind of about themselves in debut novels, which is not across the board, but it was certainly very true for me. And yeah, I love his heart so much. I love his endurance, and I also like, I really love Mateo, and They Both Die at the End. You know, he's a character who has such a pureness to him that I aspired to when I was writing him. Like, I literally was like, who is the last person I would want to see die? Like, what is that kid like? And that was how I came to build that character. But I think Aaron Soto is still like the most me character, and I've been trying to show myself a lot more self-love these days. So I'm gonna hit us with Aaron Soto for that.
And Chloe?
I want to answer the character who's the protagonist of the book I'm writing right now, which is my 3rd book. But because it's a spin-off of the duology, we haven't actually revealed who it is yet. So it'll be a boring answer if I answer that. So I'm going to say, I think the character I have the most fun writing in These Violent Delights is Marshall. Because, I mean, he's based off of, like, Mercutio from Romeo and Juliet. So, like, the energy that I was trying to capture, like, from the play, it was just so much fun to, like, work around and, like, give him the funniest lines. So, definitely lots of fun.
Perfect. All right. So we're going to go with one last question. And everyone just answer one book. We're going to go backwards again through everyone. But because BookTok has a lot of book recommendations, what are your favorite books? Name one. Chloe, go first.
Oh, that's so much pressure to put on me suddenly.
Okay, Chloe, you don't have to go first. Adam, do you have one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm most recently, I'm gonna stick with books that have come out like recently, like Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon. I loved it so much. Yeah.
So good. Let's go. We'll put Chloe last now. Tahereh.
I think you should all read Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera.
Thank you.
Excellent fantasy series written by a critically acclaimed and super awesome author. And you will love it, the whole series. You will love it. Well, I mean, there's one more to come, which you haven't read yet. I haven't.
You know, if you do order it from the bookshop, I will put a signed book plate in it for you. So
incentives. Thank you.
All right, Madeline.
I'm just going to say what I'm reading recently because the favorites list is too long. So I have been rereading Lily King. She's one of my favorite writers. Most recently, she wrote Writers and Lovers, Euphoria, Father of the Rain. They're all amazing. And because of I read this a while ago, and then the miniseries came out, and I'm rereading it. Colson Whitehead's The Underground Railroad just takes my breath away every time I read it.
Perfect. And Chloe.
Okay, I'm prepared this time because I just glanced over to the arcs on my stack. The Devil Makes Three by Tori Bovolino actually just came out yesterday, and it's very good. It's like I think YA horror has kind of been like seeing a downturn recently, so The Devil Makes Three is bringing it back. It's so scary, so atmospheric. I love it. Everyone should order it.
Perfect. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you, Celine, for moderating. I know this is your first time moderating, and you did fantastic. You were wonderful. Check out Celine's TikTok. You can find Adam Silvera, Madeline Miller, Chloe Gong, Tahereh Mafi, all on the internet, not always on TikTok, and a bunch of other places. You can also order all of their books down at that link down at the bottom. There is a little button where it says order signed books, and you can order from there. And we will have book plates until they're gone. So if you order them now, you're more likely to get them than if you were to order them next month. So yes, except for Chloe's, which she will be signing until she's sick of coming into the shop and signing. We do have a whole bunch of other events coming up this month. This month is actually our bookshop's birthday. Astoria Bookshop is turning 8 years old on the 21st, and we have a bunch of really cool events for that. We're giving out cupcakes, so if you live in the area, come stop by and we'll give you a cupcake. Yeah. Chloe's like, I'm going to be there. I'm going to get some cupcakes. And we're also donating 10% of our sales that day to the Astoria Food Pantry. We also have virtual events with Victoria Lee and Joan He for A Lesson in Vengeance, which just came out last week on the 21st, as well as like a romance panel with Alyssa Cole, Preslesa Williams, Sonali Dev, Thean Kim Long, Alexandria Bellafleur, Sonia Hartle, and moderated by Allison Cochran, who has a debut coming out in September. And that's it. So I am done listing all of the stuff coming up for us. And thank you all again for joining us.
Cool. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.